John Hell.
Thank you very much, Phil. And important team news so far as the Ivory Coast are concerned, because their number one striker, Fofana, is out of this match. He is the man that they would be looking to for goals, but Fofana is out, injured, but says he will be available for the semi-final. He's so confident that the team will go through. Ivory Coast playing in the orange and white, and Zambia in the white strip. And here is the Zambian lineup. So they do have Kalusha, number 11. He's named Borlaya. Everybody knows him as Kalusha. He plays for Pierre Eindhoven. He was the man whose goal defeated Egypt and sent them back to Cairo. And Webi Chikabala wears the number 8 shirt. He played in the first match, was dropped for the second, and has been brought back for this one. So Chikabala regained his place, and there's another change as well, with the tall defender left out of the match, who played, that's what he came on as substitute in the first match, and he's out of this one as well. So there we have the two lineups. Neither of these sides, of course, has ever been through to win the final of the African Nations Cup. Two of the 4 out of the 12 originals who have never won the ANC Cup. So who knows, this could be the first time for one of them. Certainly, whoever gets through to the semi-finals will feel they have a very good chance of making a little bit of history for themselves. The Ivory Coast coach is Yeo Martial in his second spell in that position. Funny enough, the Zambian coach, Sam Endlove, is also in his second spell, having been sacked at one stage and then reinstated in fact. There's the first free kick. You can expect Ben Salah to be a marked man on the Ivory Coast side. He was brought down after 15 seconds of the first match, carried off on a stretcher. He was carried off on a stretcher again. There are two Traores in the Ivory Coast side. Moussa Traore has been brought in for this game, and Abdoulaye Traore is the better known of the two. He was the man who scored one of those goals against Algeria, and it's Ivory Coast straight away looking for a goal in the first minute, and the ball striking the Zambian upright, and Chibala never moved there, and that is certainly going to be interesting to see that again. A fraction away from the opening goal, Ivory Coast. What a start that would have been for them. David Pleat, let's have a look at this.
Well, it's a really long throw, isn't it? And he's just got in between the two defenders there and had a quick header at goal. Obviously, we've seen some very long throwers in this, and it's so important to shield that near post area. But that could have been a really sensational start and put Zambia under tremendous pressure.
Another look at it here. I think it was Traore who got in, and there was his header off the upright. Chibala could do nothing about it, and a very fortunate escape for Zambia at the outset. They now come themselves inside the Ivory Coast half. A livelier start certainly than we've seen to any of the previous matches, which David and I have covered in Group D. All of those games ended 1-0, and were pretty sterile affairs on pretty poor pitches. Now we've moved on to Dakar, where hopefully the surface will be more true. So at least now we're through to the sudden death stages of the competition as Makinka wins a throw-in. And you can expect to see a bit more devilment about the matches. There's no point in playing for draws now.
No, I'm quite sure that both teams are going to open out. Personally speaking, I would love to see an early goal, which will even more open up the play. Here we get that same throw situation where all the Ivory Coast players are back there defending in depth because they know that ball's going to be hoisted into the box.
I think it was Kalusha, there's our counterpart from Zambia. Kalusha in fact goes over there to orchestrate this corner kick with Chambeshi. Now Chambeshi has been brought into the side today. He plays in Watayekini. It's the one position they seem to have been unsure about. They've alternated 3 players now in that position. And also today there's a return for Melu, who played in the first match. Big strong lad, was omitted from the second game, and he's won his recall as well. They've left out the young striker Umbatala, and they've left out Makwazi, who played in the first 2 matches. So a number of changes made by Sam Endlove, the Zambian coach. Ivory Coast changes were forced on them with the injury to Fofana in particular. It's a shame he's not playing, David.
It is. He's a very good dribbler. He's a very hard player to shake off the ball. He's done particularly well in France.
That was Mawitmus striding forward, and good movement off the ball, but good strong tackling in midfield from Ivory Coast, who qualified in a group above Morocco, Niger and Mauritania. Now, no trouble with the last two, but to qualify above Morocco was an achievement. They in fact lost 3-1 in Morocco and then beat them 2-0 in the return game. And so far in this African Nations Cup, they have scored a resounding 3-0 win against Algeria. That surprised a number of people, and they were held to a goalless draw by Congo. There's Ben Salah, one of the more experienced players. He plays for Le Mans in France. 8 goals this season. Le Mans second division side in France nowadays. Free kick taken by Gagicelli. He sounds more Italian. This time Chibala does come from his line to take it. David Chibala, who's moved back from Argentina, where he was playing for Argentinos Juniors, to the Wanderers club in Zambia. Dangerous there, and he might have picked up a knock for his troubles. Malenga just allowed it to run a touch then, and played himself into trouble. Ivory Coast then in the orange shirts, Zambia in the white shirts and orange shorts. Reminds me of the old Luton Town strip. Used to be rather nice when you used to know club strips automatically. Nowadays you've not got a clue what they're going to play in. Zambia on the attack with Chikabala reintroduced to the side. They were expecting a lot of Webi Chikabala. This is good running. Kalusha. Sweeping up at the back is Melu, and that's a nice ball out to the right-hand side for Chikabala, just able to keep it in. It's certainly a better surface than the one that we saw at Ziguinchor, dispossessed, and a good break on down that left touchline from the number 13, Moussa Traoré. He was a little unfortunate, it just ricocheted away from him. It was Moussa Traoré.
I don't really believe that Ivory Coast did themselves justice, although they won splendidly against Algeria, and I think that the better pitch, the better surface will help them, and will breed a little bit of confidence.
Yes, it's obviously in the minds of the players when you're playing on a less than good surface. Certainly a very African feel about this match. You can hear the bongos in the background. Ivory Coast competing in their 10th finals. They've always managed to get through as far as the finals, just about. It's their 5th in a row, but they've never won it. So they're due some success. The Elephants, that's their nickname. Zambia are the KK11 for obvious reasons, after Kenneth Kawanda. There's one for Traoré to chase, but to be allowed to run through to Chibala by that experienced defender Samuel Chomba. So no goals as yet, and yet there has been a scare. We saw Traoré put a header against the Zambian upright in the very first couple of minutes of the match. Sam Ndlove, very experienced, he's known as Zoom back in Zambia, and he was absolutely crestfallen when his side got beaten by Swaziland. His job was on the line. He reorganised, he brought in players from outside, players who'd gone to other countries, and since then they've not looked back. Qualified well, although they did lose to Ghana in their second game. Very good goal it was too by the Ghanaian Pele. Goalkeeper Alan Guameni, who plays in Casablanca. Good bowl out as well, direct, straight to the man. That's what he was looking for. Good passing so far. And this is Moussa Traoré. Certainly the surface would appear to be better, David, here.
Absolutely, and both sides able to get the ball. You see, when it doesn't bounce so awkwardly, midfield players are encouraged to come and have it off the back four players. They're not frightened to turn and and get hold of the ball, but when it's bobbling, it encourages them to bypass the midfield and hit the front people a little bit early. And of course that is foreign to these teams. They make the ball do the work, they play in warm countries, and they don't really play what we call a hard running game as compared with many English teams. That's to do with environment, that's to do with ground conditions. Here we will see a passing game, but of course so far we've been a little bit disappointed with their ability to pass man for man, but very impressed with this type of thing, dribbling.
Absolutely excellent chance, and it was a lovely build-up, and the chance has not gone away yet, and the shot is struck wide. And it was struck by Traoré, Abdoulaye Traoré, who scored in the first match. He's still only 24. He was a bit of a wonder boy when he played in the African Nations Cup in 1986 at the age of 19, and that was a lovely build-up. It showed the dribbling skills. The goalkeeper Chabala stood his ground, but even then it might have produced the goal, this attack. He couldn't find the mark.
Yeah, a rather awry final shot, but a good break from a fine midfield dribble that set Traoré up. Good blocking by the goalkeeper. I think the early signs are that we'll see plenty of goalmouth action.
Yes, it's the best game that you and I have seen so far, David, by a long chalk. There's the quick throw-in from Kalusha, asking Mounguegui to do some running down the touchline. Good covering by Ben Salah. He got back well. That tackle is from Kwame Aka. Good long ball hit to the edge of the penalty area. They're finding their men well here, Zambia. Ivory Coast getting enough bodies in to knock it away, only as far as Mounguegui. Still softening one another up, I suppose, is the expression at this stage a little bit. There's a nicely directed header from Kwame Aka back to his goalkeeper.
Beautiful covering position, wasn't it? Just got in the perfect position to meet the diagonal and steer it back to his goalkeeper, making sure that no forward was able to get in that space in between and direct the header at goal. Good covering.
Mounguegui, twice involved in the move already. A lot expected of him, one of the young players who has featured well for Ivory Coast. They in fact came here to Senegal a year ago and won a tournament, so their confidence should be high on the strength of that. They beat Cameroon, Algeria and Senegal in their own country last year to win that tournament, really against the odds. So they're buoyant. This will be turned back by Sakana. He was playing for Brest in France, and the Brest club have had so many financial problems they've dropped out of the French league, so he's got a club at the moment.
Yes, all the players there are available. There's been one or two good players at Brest over the last 2 or 3 seasons. The Yugoslav, particularly Monsieur Binic, who did so well for Partizan, Red Star.
I remember the old Argentine defender Brown as well. He was at Brest.
Correct. Oscar Brown, I think it was.
Good movement again by Ivory Coast, edge of the penalty area. Here's a chance, and trying to thread it through, and still the ball hasn't gone away, and they're building up. They're willing to trade passes in and around the edge of the penalty area, but it was just a little bit too tight for them. Zambia able to work that ball away. As far as Derby Makinka, who's hoping to go and play in Turkey, I understand, after these African Nations Championships, and Makinka, edge of the area, and it just didn't go the right way for him. He's one who likes to get into attacking positions. He's scored some goals. He got a couple in the last World Cup qualifying rounds. Mounguegui, nice build-up. Chomba again coming forward. He likes to do that from his sweeper role. It's an interesting pattern. That's a good ball too. Not a good final pass, however. This is where some of the African countries do tend to fall down on that final ball. Back from Kalusha to number 13, who is Changwe, White Changwe. Across the field they go. They're willing to let them come at them. This is John Socko, the right back. The nice movement down that right-hand side, and this should be a corner kick, but the flag, I think, was raised on that far side. But even so, the referee has chosen to ignore that. And quite rightly, I couldn't see why it should have been.
Zambia look very strong physically. They're a very tall side. They look a very powerful side. Ivory Coast slightly smaller in physique, particularly in the wide positions.
Corner kick. to be taken by Chambeshi. Weston Chambeshi then. Corner kick for Zambia, driven in. Melu was coming for it. They've knocked it out, and Ivory Coast should be able to break from this situation. But it's nice to see the skills on the ball more here, which we didn't have the benefit of in the previous matches at Sigmundshire because of the state of the pitch. There's a critical eye. One thing we have commented on, David, has been the standard of refereeing so far, which has been excellent.
Yes, it's been quite good. I think there was certainly a loud call for a penalty in the Cameroon game that has just been played.
Yes, Cameroon's game, which they won by a 0-0, a late goal against Senegal. But here, these two countries are playing for the right to meet Cameroon in the semi-final. Cameroons who won so many friends around the world with their achievements in the last World Cup. Here goes Zambia's Makinka trying to win friends with a shot which ends up somewhere in the crowd and didn't impress anybody.
That was a slightly optimistic shot. It looked as though he could have taken the ball on. He's a very powerful player. He's got nice square shoulders. You'll probably find him going as strong in the last 15 minutes of the game as he plays in the first 15 minutes. He's a very powerful player. And I would say at the moment that Zambia are just gaining a little bit of territorial advantage, and if they can get a nice little 1-2 going on the edge of the box, which they've tried on one or two occasions, if they can just get the benefits of that, I can see them getting a chance on goal.
That's why I was ashamed that early chance didn't go in for Ivory Coast, because that really would have opened up the game.
Absolutely.
But it's still not a bad match, as Ivory Coast have this free kick to be taken by Serge Magui, who's come through the youth ranks of the national squad. Melu knocks it out. Well, it's a strange ball, but it found the man all right. It's dealt with by Chomba. Straight up in the air from Makinka. And nodded forward by Obu, who continues his run down the left flank and tries to swing a crossover, disappointingly behind from Aseni Obu, one of the ASEC players, and there are several of them in this Ivory Coast side. There are 5 in fact in this side who all play for the same club team, ASEC.
Obu did very well on that little overlap there to get round the outside of Traore, and had it been a better cross, I'm sure that might be a way of trying to open up the Zambian defence. It was good forceful play. They have to have the confidence to come forward and support the front players from the back. There isn't the same fear of losing the ball as there was on the previous pitch that they played in when they played outside of Dakar.
That's right, and of course the rules are different here. It's sudden death now. Whereas one or two of those matches you felt the teams would be quite happy to come away with draws. Here they can't do that. That's a good turn. Makinka once more, showing that strength David Bleak was talking about. And this man's quite strong too. Timothy Mwitma, good run by him and a good fending off tackle in 10 yards outside the penalty area. That was good work for Ivory Coast by Sekana. Man on the ball is Moussa Traore. He likes to have the ball at his foot as well. Ben Salah. 2 number 13s. It was unlucky for one of them.
Watch the 17. McGee uses the ball very nice and early. Always is aware of what's happening around him. Just plays it one touch round the corner at times. Knows what he's about, has seen the picture. Number 17 of the Ivory Coast, McGee. Very young player, David. He's come to the fore in the last 12 months, apparently. Now it's Zambia's turn to attack with Kalusha. Coming up and lending his considerable aid is Samuel Chomba once more. Picking their men out with the passes, and they'll pick it up again here. Chomba allowing it to run through, and then it's lofted over the top of the defence, but there's an offside flag.
Both sides willing to get on with things quickly. There's your friend McGee coming into it and playing it forward, and it comes out to Ben Salah. Down the touchline, lovely little turn here by Traore. This is the skillful player up front who might pose a few problems for the Zambian defence. Traore, who scored in that 3-0 victory against Algeria. Scored a very good goal too, as did Fofana. Bear in mind they're missing him. And a cracking shot and a good stop as well by Chabala, who might have seen that just a touch late, but it was a fine effort from Cassie Kouadio. Good strike with the left foot. That's going in the top corner, no question about that. He's been introduced to the side for his first appearance, Lucien Cassie Kouadio. Ben Salah with the corner. More pressure coming in from the Ivory Coast. Let's have a look at that shot again. It's worth having a look at, David.
Yeah, he really got some meat behind that ball, didn't he? Left foot, dipped the shade, excellent save, well covered, but nice to see them wanting to have a strike from outside the box.
That's what they've come to see. They've not seen a lot of goals in the tournament so far. I'm sure that they would respond to a match which produces several. Mounguegui, survivor from the team in Algeria 2 years ago, which did rather nicely. And there's Makinka, swept off his feet that time. And again, they look to find that number 13, Traore. Here's number 10, also named Traore. And that's Makinka getting back.
Ivory Coast playing some neat, tidy stuff, playing into feet, just being let down a little bit in the last 30 yards with their crossing. They've picked their heads up once or twice and knocked it deep into the box. But really, they've got to try and pick people out, or else it's a giveaway ball. But they've done so well to get possession, they must keep it and work it all the way.
Chomba. Mounguegui, this is Chomba. Not seen much yet of Kalusha. Seems to be playing a different type of role in this match to the one we saw the very first game. He played wide on the left and caused a lot of problems, scored a goal. We've not seen as much of him in this game. Starting from the back then with Gagicelli. This is Sakana. Two highly experienced players. That's Gagicelli on the ball now. He's the captain. Has been playing international football for a number of years for the Ivory Coast. There's a Sakana here. Mounguegui. Left back is Obu.
The Ivory Coast playing at a very laid back, somewhat lazy, lacking pace. That's the fourth successive pass back to the goalkeeper, and what they're really saying is to Zambia, come and get it, come and leave some spaces for us to exploit, come and try and win it off us, we'll try and play around you. But of course Zambia, cat and mouse, early stages, they won't go.
We're halfway through the first half in Dakar, and it's Ivory Coast 0, Zambia 0. And the man for Ivory Coast on the ball, Serge Magui. Down that touchline goes Ben Salah. Now he gets good crosses in, does Ben Salah. He might even score from this, and it's headed off the line by Mounguegui. Very good effort by Ben Salah. He created one of the goals in the opening game beautifully from a similar situation. I thought he was going to score himself then.
It was a tremendous header by Mounguegui. It reminded me of a goal in an English Cup final in 1987 when the ball looped over the goalkeeper off a deflection. But that one really looked as though it was drifting over the goalkeeper there, and Mounguegui's done tremendously well. Here it comes again. It probably did take a deflection actually, which swerved it over Chabala.
goes Cassie Kouadio. Over the top it goes. Certainly the pitch playing quite well in this one. Much flatter surface, and there's a little shimmy, and they've opened it up on this right side again for Akakuame, and a strike on goal, and a thunderous shot it was too, and the net would have been bursting if that one had gone in. Very good effort yet again from this man, Cassie Kouadio, who's had the two best shots.
And fine play by my man Mounguegui in the first place to set it up down the right-hand side there. There's the shot. Just didn't let the ball run across his body enough before he struck it. He wanted it to let it run a shade more, and then I'm sure he would have been jumping somersaults. But it was a good strike. It would give them confidence, and my early looks at this is saying that the Ivory Coast look as though they've got talented individuals. There it is, nice technique. He just needed it to go across his body a little bit. Hit it a shade too early, but what a nice build-up.
Lovely build-up, and it's down this right-hand side that they're posing problems all of a sudden. We saw that run by Ben Salah, but a desperate clearance by Mounguegui retrieved the situation then. And again, it's all happening down the right. Makinka goes down the middle for Zambia. This is developing into quite a nice match now.
It is. You've got the power of Zambia in the midfield with Makinka, and you've got the neat interplay of the Ivory Coast forwards. McGee, Traore, Gatticelli.
Yeah, it's a much more intriguing contest. The winners, I remind you, to go through to play Cameroon in the semi-final. Cameroon have been a little fortuitous to get through in many ways. They beat Senegal with a very, very late goal.
Quite a strong wind we see there, Johnny. It's going across the pitch from left to right, and not easy conditions for the players, and therefore it's to their credit that they're trying to play the ball on the deck where it's meant to be played, this game of ours.
Absolutely, the wind is, I always think, the worst element for footballers.
I'm sure it is, but both sides coping quite well with it. It's easier for sides in a strong wind when they're playing the shorter game.
Alou tries to pick out his man in front of him. There's Kalusha, and free kick given. But still a good 30-35 yards from goal. So far, Boumeni has had a relatively quiet time compared with Chibala, who's had to make one very excellent save. So that shows that Ivory Coast have done their stuff in midfield and in defence. He's going to have a good run at this one, and I'm afraid that's points in a rugby match, but it counts for nothing in a game of association football from Melou.
Yeah, high, wide and too handsome. Went for real power and struck the ball below the middle part, and it rose far too high.
As the leader of the band, Martial is the leader of the Ivory Coast team. We got a glimpse of him a moment ago. He's done very well with this side over the last couple of years. He was appointed in 1990, having previously had office until 1988, and 2 years away from it. This is the throw-in from Aka. Kinston with the shorter throw-in, nicely angled however, and they're able to keep the attack going again. It comes down this right-hand side, Aka's ball cut back, and dealt with capably, but still onside. Still that whistle not sounding. They were onside all the way through that move, so there were chances again, and Coast are creating chances. Now here does go Kalusha down the left touchline, cutting in field as well. man coming up on the right-hand side. Makinka plays a good ball to him as well. The keeper off his line. There must be a good chance here. Chikabala knocks it back. Why didn't he head for goal? It doesn't matter. It's a score. No, it's not. It's gone behind. I thought that had gone in. From the angle, it just looks as though that ball was into the net. Really, what I couldn't understand about that was why Chikabala didn't head for goal from the position he was in.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. Here we have another look at it here. And he must have just lost his bearings there. He heads it back. Maybe the angle was tighter than we initially thought. Here's the shot. Slightly wild, not composed enough. Soko, disappointed he'll be. It was a good opportunity from a quick attack. Kalusha who started it off. Well, certainly from that angle he should have headed it towards the goal. When we see it from the other angle, it looks slightly tighter.
That's right, isn't it strange? A game of football can look so different from different angles, and from the wider angle, yeah, by all means you thought, well, maybe he was fair enough, but when you see it from that angle, the net was gaping.
Yeah. Here's this Mounguegui again. Now I've taken a fancy to him, John, straight away. He's pushing passes through, he's dominating the midfield, he's got lovely quick feet, he sees things, he plays it early. It looks to me as though he's got real talent. I'm going to enjoy watching him play.
It's David Pleat talking about Serge McGee. So coverage of the African Nations Cup coming to you live and exclusively here on Screen Sport. It's Ivory Coast 0, Zambia 0, and a very attractive match. And here's another shot coming in from the Ivory Coast, and that one really thumped in by Dominica Sam. And he did hit this one. They can all hit the ball.
Throws a lovely dummy there to get it inside on his right foot. Just once again, technique, hits it with the outside of his right foot and just lets the ball drift across him, and instead of that famous phrase that we use when we have shooting practices, laces. Nice clean feel, laces.
Makinka, edge of the penalty area, trying to work an opening. It's a very good match now, and he's done superbly there, and the bicycle kick carries it over the top. But how lovely it was to see Makinka use his brain, use his feet, and create an opening for Chikabala.
Yeah, he had a double header there, eh? Double scissors. That's ingenious, that's clever, and maybe that's a bit unlucky.
It would have been ironic if Chikabala had scored from that one, having had the opportunity of a clear header, which he spurned earlier, a couple of minutes before that.
Well, I'm sure it'd be good for a quote in the morning. I only like taking the difficult chances.
Yes, that's right.
But it could prove costly. Our Ivory Coast look bright to me, and they could pick up the first goal if they keep playing like this.
I think they're both looking bright at the moment. It's an entertaining match. Here now is Dominica Sam, the one who had the shot a few moments ago, playing it to Casiguadio, who's had a couple of shots in this match, and there he is again, but the whistle sounding in favour of Ivory Coast. Free kick given. It'd be so good to see the ball in the net. I'm sure we'd have a quite eventful match if either side scored before half-time.
I think you'll see goals for sure, John. I've only got to look at the goal attempts so far. It's certainly trebled what we're seeing in most of the games so far.
That might be another free kick. Well, you couldn't blame the Zambian, actually, I don't think, there, because the whistle had gone for the free kick to be taken. He took his own man by surprise, I thought, and Soko gets put needlessly, perhaps, and I think a little unfortunately.
Well, it was quite a clever little free kick. Look, really clever. A real disguise there, and that's also clever, because if he just gets around Soko there, he's on for a shot at goal. I thought that the actual free kick was very clever disguise. He held his right hand up. It was the number 14 there, Guardio, who put his hand up, and as he put his hand up, he made a deft little touch with the outside of his right foot. All that gesturing and dramatics, it's all part of the game.
This time a more conventional free kick, and it ended up being struck straight at the wall. They all say in football that's one thing you mustn't do, is hit the wall. Not a bad ball again out to Guardio, who's having a bit of an influence in this match. Ball floated in long, and he just couldn't get there. Moussa Traoré. Well, I don't think that ball ever went out there. The linesman thought it did.
Yes, I think the linesman there, the rule says that if the ball comes back off the flag, of course it's still in play. I would suggest that they might have made a mistake there, that ball's still in play.
It's produced a corner for Ivory Coast. They get nothing from it. So not the best of clearances. So they'll be able to turn the screw a little bit more and resume the attack with this throw-in from Kwamiaka. Ben Salah, who's going to get a free kick for that. The meat in the sandwich. But here it is. Now, that ball surely never went out. Never mind, it doesn't matter. Nothing happened from the free kick. They have another one. And Kuadio is going to take this with his left foot. And a little chip, surely too close to goalkeeper Chebala.
Poor ball.
Gave nobody a chance, did it really? Soccer's clearance high, over the halfway line. There's some quality football being played in this game. They make it look so effortless at times.
It's very composed. Lots of room to play, lots of room in the midfield. Neither side really pressing and condensing the space and making it difficult or too difficult for people to get hold of the ball and control it. There's a chance to play if you're good enough to play. No one's trying to destroy the game. Both teams are accepting that when the other side has the ball, they're giving them the respect. And they're not trying to play a high pressure game and win the ball early.
Again, there is space there, as you see. The lofted pass easily cut out this time. Could have been kept in play, but he chooses, does Changwe, to let it go out for the throw, and then receives the ball back again from Molenga. Crossfield it goes with Melu. It wasn't a bad pass, it just found him running away from it. He's playing a much more advanced position today, Chomba. Just kept in. Again, that incessant drumbeat. And you get that in these African Nations Cup ties. Win, lose, draw, no matter what the situation. That's nicely picked out. That was a lovely little ball, and what a delightful chip that is as well from Traore. Oh, delightful back heel, and the build-up there was superb. I think there's going to be offside given against Aka Kouame, but that was lovely.
Yes, there's a bit of invention of the highest order, and certainly in the wide position I wouldn't have said there was an offside. In the middle there may have been an offside, but very unfortunate there, the Ivory Coast. They're showing some imagination around the box, they're passing it neatly, and I'm enjoying watching them play.
Now it's our turn to watch Zambia come on attack with Chambeshi. Ball in field. Kinka. Not a good ball from him this time, but Zambia win it back. But no, they don't, because that's a free kick awarded for Ivory Coast. So they were unable to capitalise. The first time ball hit down here to this right side, and Traore is going to win a corner. He looks a striker, just the way he runs.
Yes, he's got good movement. It was rather strange what he did there. He beat him on the outside, and then he looked as though he tried to nick it across the box with his left foot. I don't know if he's a contortionist, but it looked a right-footed ball. I'd love to see that one again. It looked as though he'd lost his angle, and somehow he tried to whip it in with his left foot, and his leg was going across his body. But he's won a corner.
He has, which is, well, it's one that Chibala couldn't get to. Zambia strong again there. You saw the strength of Kalusha, which was crucial to him winning the ball. Then they come forward and break around that right touch line. Good movement as Soko picks it up and delivers the cross in, and the goalkeeper's made a mess of it, and Kalusha almost able to get in. Guameni, they say he can be exciting, flamboyant, you can call it what you will. I suppose that's summed up, means that he can also make a mess of things occasionally. He comes for this ball here, He's really got to claim that, and he makes a real hash of it, and fortunately for him, they couldn't capitalise.
Yes, I think he was more aware of the physical presence of the forward there than he should have been, because quite frankly, you know, the golden rule is to take the ball at the point that is most comfortable to you, not necessarily at the highest point, the point that is most comfortable to you. And it didn't seem to me as though he stretched, as though that was in his mind, as though he had to go too early and lost his balance. He waited, if anything, slightly late, but purely mishandled, and that gives the indication there may have been some fear there of the presence of the forward.
Run out of it neatly by your friend McGee. He showed his strength there as well, didn't he? Just a little nudge, and he made sure that he was right side of the ball.
Yes, he wants the ball as much as possible, because he can make them play.
Sekana. Down here is Gadjicelli. They must beware not to just overdo it a bit. He's going to have to put this ball out now, you see. And that was a bit slack. That was a bit lackadaisical, really, by Gadjicelli. Corner given. Quite rightly so. Saw some of the local aficionados there, and once more the goalkeeper comes and can't get a fist on it. It doesn't matter though, the whistle had gone that time. There's the big fella Chomba who'd gone up for it. He is a big lad. So we're coming close to half-time in the game here in Dakar, where it's Ivory Coast 0, Zambia 0, but behind that scoreline lies the story of a very good half, with plenty of chances created, especially by Ivory Coast. They've hit the upright as early as the first minute. They've rained shots in on goalkeeper Chibala from time to time. They've just not been able to find the net, but not for lack of trying. Zambia's turn to come forward. Now the break might just be on for Ivory Coast. If he can show him a clean pair of legs here, there is something on. He's got a man coming up on his right. Oh, the offside flag goes up to spoil it. Otherwise, Abdoulaye Traoré might just have been in for that opening goal. The ball was laid well, but just looked offside. Can be difficult for a linesman to give those, and they're running at pace. Great tackle, what a good tackle that was. But Whitmer had come through to try and win it. Well, they all know how to use a shoulder, don't they? They all know how to get in there and make sure the other man doesn't get to the ball. And this is a rather theatrical dive by Oumar Ben Salah. Although it's going to produce a booking. It would seem to be for Weston Chambeshi. Ben Salah got carried off on a stretcher twice in the first half hour in the first game against Algeria. His knee would appear to be the target. Yellow card for Chambeshi.
It certainly looked as though he got a clout there.
Yes, he was no question a marked man in the first match, and he does play well down that right touchline, doesn't he? He creates well. And a note is made of the booking.
Yes, and you see on the table there, quite possibly the passports of the players. Age checks, country checks.
That's right. So Ben Salah down and out for the moment. Well, there is that story of Lamptey, how he was literally smuggled across our pitch, I do believe, to Belgium to play, wasn't he?
Absolutely right. That was the point I was trying to make. You know, some of the African boys playing youth tournaments abroad and do tremendously well, and people look at them and they look at the power and the precision and the pace that they have, and they wonder, you know, is that a 14, a 15, a 16-year-old? They look like men. They're so powerful, and
there's one in the First Division in England at the moment called Chris Bart-Williams at Sheffield Wednesday. He purports to be 17, I've no doubt he is.
Yes.
But all the lads say he's the oldest 17-year-old they have ever seen.
Yes, I mean, it's quite possible, and I can tell you another boy, the boy Roderick Thomas at Watford, played like a man at 14, and he's still a man. He's possibly 20 now, 21, and that strength and that power, with respect to Roderick, has been equalised now. He's against men, and that pace that got him so clearly past opponents at a younger age, and that power now has been neutralised.
It's a shame. Whatever happened to Mounguegui, David? There was another one.
Yes, he's a qualified chemist working in North London. Very nice chap. Injury semi-finished him. He played for Nigeria, of course, Emeka Nawajobi. He had several international caps for Nigeria. He was a fine ambassador for his country. He was an excellent player, and he had a very good career at Luton. I took him from Dulwich Hamlet one cold, frosty November night, and he did very well for me, and I'm pleased he did well for himself.
Nice player. We didn't comment there about Mwitma's shot. It was quite obviously soaring over the crossbar. And that brings us up to the full 45 minutes here in Dakar. But still they come looking just before half-time. Traoré, he's a good turner. He's at that low centre of gravity. And again, he did well, and he gets inside the penalty area as well. The ball is taken away from him. Good defending once more. Ooh, and that's not a good tackle. What they've got to do, Zambia, people like Soko, Chomba, Malenga, generally got in there, but Ivory Coast has certainly created more openings than any other side against them. Well, we're coming up to a minute and a half of injury time in this first half. Well, I thought that Makinka might have had a shot. Instead he finds Soko there. He's had one shot in this match which was well off the target, and that's going to be a shot from Melu, which again will be way outside the right hand upright. But at least in this match we've seen shots coming in, something we didn't see in the other games.
Yeah, it's been an intriguing first half, John. Ivory Coast had that effort against the post. There we see that shot rifling wide. Ivory Coast started off with that shock header against the post. Zambia took over the game a little bit with their strength, I thought. The midfield and Malenga, Makinka, Kalasha and Chomba moving forward. They were very strong. But then as the game wore on, we saw the skills and the clever passing and the brighter invention, I feel, of the Ivory Coast players, and I would say they can consider themselves slightly unfortunate to go in on equal terms. I think they might just deserve a lead.
But going on equal terms they do. It's 0-0 in Dakar between Ivory Coast and Zambia. A highly enjoyable half, however. The best chances have been created by the Ivory Coast. Traoré hit an upright and has had other chances as well, and there have been a couple of excellent shots from Kouadio. Zambia, on the other hand, have had attempts on goal. Neither has been able to find a way through. We'll have the whole of the second half for you live after this break here on Screen Sports.
Just keep calm when it counts, then I'm sure we'll see goals.
It's good experience for some of these young players as well to be playing on a bigger stage, and we've seen in the last few years how the African countries have come on. They've taken part in World Cup finals and they've not been overawed as they might well have been at one stage. But I remember we've seen the likes of Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, who played against England, and Cameroon, of course, last time out, doing very well.
Absolutely, and with three African nations in the American World Cup, we're going to see, I'm sure, some more players that are going to excite us, more fine individual players. I think the teamwork can improve of all sides, but I do believe that they're very good individually, certainly in the dribbling and their pace.
And it's good here on British, on television, on Screen Sport, that you're able to have this opportunity of seeing these African Nations Cup matches for the first time. Free kick then for Zambia, nicely turned by Kalusha, but they'd spotted that, and it was Obu who turned it out. Could have been a nicely worked, well executed free kick, but Obu had spotted it.
Yes, went to little bit of cleverness there, trying to deceive the defence, looking for the left-footed in-swing and reversing the pass, quite subtle.
There you get a shot of the stadium. Well, there is room if anybody wants to go. There's a late entrant. It's a good whack forward. Stand on any ceremony there. It would be ironic if they were to get a goal from the long ball forward like that after some of the neat build-up we've seen. We were recommending the long ball game at times during some of the early matches when it needed a punt into the penalty area where a fortuitous bounce might have counted. But here on a better surface, we've seen both sides trying to play good football. Laid forward by Changwe. That's number 8, Chikabala. The cross-in wasn't a bad one, and once again it's Obu, who's featuring prominently in these opening minutes of the second half, who gets it away. Good start this by Zambia. Soko turns inside his man nicely. He looks a good right back. This is a nice move. Malenga's cross beyond the goalkeeper, deep, but into the side netting by Kalusha. Good move.
Yeah, a good chance. A cleverly flighted ball, wasn't it? Just teased the goalkeeper enough. He can't get there. Oh, it looked a good chance. It was an acute angle, but if he can just screw that ball back across the goal, anything could have happened.
Yeah, it could have gone off a leg or anything, yeah. Somebody who's impressed in this match, perhaps more than in the previous two, has been Soko, who's made 1 or 2 good runs.
Yes, he's a strong right back.
Zambia looked the stronger at the start of this second half. Just for the moment, it's early days yet. Back pass good to Kwameni. Taken on by Ben Salah. He's had his share of injury problems in this tournament already, and Zambia hustling well to win it. That's excellent work. Cut out across on that far side. Throw-in to be taken by Moussa Traoré, not to be confused with Abdoulaye Traoré. Now Makinka. That's a lovely ball through from Makinka, and just Kalusha finding himself hounded out of it. There were a lot of bodies in there. But Zambia certainly have started the brighter of the two sides in the second half.
Yes, they're powering forward.
Pretty stern challenge from right back Soko, the one we were talking about a moment or two ago. He's in quickly whenever Traoré's in possession. He looks the one to me as though he might be a goal scorer, Traoré, and here he is now inside the penalty area, and a swirling ball across. The wind seems to have dropped, if anything. It's difficult to tell from this shot, but there was one shot early in the first half, David, where it looked very, very gusty indeed.
Yeah. But
they're coping well if they are. But here again goes Balusha. And there's nobody inside the penalty area, but the wind doesn't appear to be a problem, does it?
No, they're both coping, and there you can see by that shot in the corner actually that the fierce wind, the cross-field wind in the first half, has died somewhat.
There's Sam Ndlove, coach of Zambia. He would become a national hero automatically overnight if they were to win this championship for the very first time. But it's nice to see two countries like this coming through. Neither of them have ever won the African Nations Cup. You know, we tend to think of Egypt and Algeria and Morocco as the strong countries in Africa, but here are the Ivory Coast and Zambia seeking a semi-final spot. The Ivory Coast's best finish on 3 occasions. They've finished third, 1965, 1968 and 1986. Zambia reached the final the very first time they competed in, that was a bit high, in 1976. Still Zambia's greatest claim to fame was that 4-0 victory over Italy in the Seoul Olympics 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, to be strictly accurate. When Kalusha got a hat-trick. And it's Zambia with this free kick. It's as though Melu will take it. Up goes Chomper for it, and Melu does strike it straight into the back of one of the Ivory Coast players, and now it's the Ivory Coast turn to get a free kick. The referees have no problems at all today. He's just booked one player, John Socko, and he got kidded as a free kick. Otherwise, it's been cleanly fought.
Yeah, I think there's been some fierce tackles. In earlier games we saw some badly mistimed tackles, but I have to say that the players, once the decision has been given, have competed in a very good vein, and there's been nothing but good sportsmanship throughout the tournament.
This is Mounguegui, inside Kalusha. Now they try and stroke the ball around. This is how they like to play. Deliberate build-up and then rapier-like thrust at the end of it. Socko comes into it and tends to come in feel like that. Works it onto his left foot this time, but once again the whistle gone. They're certainly trying to bring Socko into it down this right touchline. Yeah, and they're looking for crosses at the back post. There was just that question mark of the goalkeepers in the first half on the crosses. Yaya Martial is the coach of the Ivory Coast for the second time. He was in charge here 12 months ago when they won that African tournament. Mounguegui, he's a long stride, Mounguegui, and it enables him to get away from people. Mounguegui staying out on the touchline this time as the cross comes over and is knocked out first time by Sakana. They're trying to get shots in on goal, and they've got a corner this time, Zambia. And Kalusha, the PSV Eindhoven man, wins that corner kick for his country. Already in this second half, Zambia have had 3 attempts on goal, which is as many as they conjured up in the whole of the first 45 minutes, so they've picked up their play no end. They have a corner. Oh, it's gone all the way through, and the header was by Chikabala. Fortunately for Ivory Coast, Guameni was in the right place at the right time.
Well, I think Chikabala there was taken by surprise, wasn't he, as the ball bounced through. My word, straight at the goalkeeper really, either side, and the goalkeeper's in trouble.
He was, although to be fair, David, Ivory Coast did have 2 men on the line. They were parked there, so they were doing their job. They were on sentry duty. Here's Socko. Plays it with the outside of the boot, flicked on by Chikabala. Good clearing header. Now they string it together. And McGee plays the ball to the edge of the area where Socko is there to sweep up once again and clear for Zambia. Finds his man Mounguegui. This time Mounguegui's knocked it too far ahead of himself, enabling Aka to get a foot in.
Mounguegui needs to vary his game a little bit. He wants to run it all the time. Every time it comes to him, he's looking to set off on one of these rangy runs. Here he goes again. Can he use people? Well, he's done it.
He has. He was listening to you, David. Brought Kalusha into it. Now it comes out for Socko, trying to thread it through the middle. Still there. The defender sticking to his job. Oh, and the back pass. Well, that was certainly rather ill-advised from Casicouadio.
Signs of tiredness possibly, John. I don't know. I just sense the Ivory Coast, they're not as bubbly and as bright as they were just prior to half-time. Because we often say in football, no two halves are the same.
That's very, very true. They don't look quite as sharp, although there, you see, they nearly got on as Eston Malenga just delayed a back pass. That's why you tend in football matches to get more goals in the second halves of games, isn't it? Although they're all professional athletes, there is bound to be tiredness sets in at some stage.
Plus the fact, of course, John, the first half is a careful game. The game doesn't really open up until the last 25 minutes when games are tight, when people decide, right, now we've got to go for a win. So I think you can bet your life that on any one Saturday, whenever you look at the football scores, there's always more goals scored in the second half.
Always. In fact, I saw a game on Saturday, David, where they didn't have bothered for the first 45 minutes. Nothing happened at all.
I shan't ask you where you were, John, but I heard you were down the Nile somewhere.
Yeah, that's well. Soccer. Touch, but they read that again. Getting men behind the ball, and this is a one-on-one situation which could prove dangerous. No, he's defended well. That was Mounguegui. Abdoulaye Traoré still looks the most dangerous front runner on the Ivory Coast side. Most likely to do something is Ben Salah. Now Abu. Turned back by Mounguegui to Abu again. Floated ball in, which Chamvala takes all right. Wasn't much thought in that really though, in that cross. Melu. 12 minutes gone in the second half, and of course this is a sudden death situation here now, as Mounguegui plays a lovely ball into the Ivory Coast penalty area, to the Zambia penalty area, and free kick already taken. There is Mounguegui. Tackle's snapping in a bit at the moment. Whitman trying to play it wide, and this gives the Ivory Coast a chance as the ball comes in. It's Sokko's there to knock it out. And there will be a free kick awarded here against Kassi Kouadio.
Note the way they take the free kicks very quickly, both sides. As soon as the free kick is given, they place the ball down and they're in motion quickly. That's good play.
Makinka. And they come striding forward onto this one, and he's onside. And this is a good chance, but it's too far for Chikubala. It wasn't really a good cross. He was looking for somebody at the back post, but it was too long. Nice move though. They timed the pass through well. Makinka made a good break.
Slowly turning the game round, but they need a goal.
Yes. So many of the matches have produced goals in the last minute, haven't they? We wonder if that's going to happen again. Sokko's throwing. This is danger. And, this time he does hold on to the ball. Chibala. Free kick. That will be another free kick for Ivory Coast, and against Samuel Chomba, who plays for the Capway Warriors side. Played all 5 matches in Algeria 2 years ago and has played all 3 here so far. And that free kick taken already. Couldn't get the combination together on the edge of the penalty area, so it allows Melu to sweep up. Now Kalusha coming deeper and deeper for the ball. Forward from Chomba to Sokko. Sokko's ball flat, but it found the man all right. Makinka. Now Kalusha. Got away from his man well. That was nice footwork, and then supplies, well, it was a nothing pass really. It was to nobody. Deliberate build-up. Sokko again chooses. He nearly always comes inside, doesn't he? So as a result of that, we've had an hour played without a goal. Now they try to build it in the midfield with Melu coming forward. He's not often been in the other team's half. But again, Ivory Coast snapping in, winning the ball. They could have done with you. Lovely control on the knee, on the chest. They do like to show their skills. Nothing hurried about it at the moment. Kalusha doesn't seem really involved. He's not getting there today.
His club side were beaten for the first time this season yesterday in league matches, PSV Eindhoven.
Ajax, I believe it was, David, was it? 1-0?
I believe so, and that That should be even more of a spur to Kalusha, because although Bobby Robson obviously has agreed to release him for this tournament, here he is.
He might have a go now. Oh, and he does have a go as well, and it flies by. We were talking about him, and he produced a shot here which could have opened the way for a first Zambian goal. He was obviously having to angle it to beat the keeper, and it just went wide.
Essentially a left-footed player, can obviously strike balls with his right as he did there, but he's happier when it's on his left side.
There's a good ball, and a bit of space here as well. Turn by Traore, picked up by Kouadio. Just beginning to put it together again now, but the shot's not good enough, I'm afraid, from Gajicelli. There's a nice little ball which opened it up down the left-hand side for Moussa Traore, though.
Yes, he looked to play it in the box, but he probably didn't have enough support. The Ivory Coast haven't got forward as well in numbers as they did in the first half. That's a fine run.
Chambeshi. Whistle sounded, as you heard. Might almost have got an advantage from that, but instead the free kick taken, and Makinka loses out. The break on once more down the middle. Here's Traore. Points in the way. Here's McGee. Abu. Attempt to slow it down again. And that's a better ball. To be chased by McGee. Cuts it back right outside the penalty area. It wasn't a bad ball as it turned out. Ben Salah will try and get past Mwitma, and the referee this time says that that's no free kick. Just beginning to pick their game up again, Ivory Coast. Having gone through a rather iffy spell at the beginning of the half. There goes Chikabala. He drives the throat. And so did Sekana. And it was awarded to Sekana. Kalusha just does enough to retain possession, and then it's rather given away to Gajicelli. What a scrap for it at the moment. Mwitma emerges from it all. Melu. I've seen the ball played along the ground much more in this game. And it's chipped up towards the edge of the penalty area. Not very far away, only as far as Chomba, this big rangy player who goes on looking for the 1-2, edge of the area. Zambia using their strength to retain possession. Now again the break might just be on, but for the covering defender who comes over, Malenga's done very well today, looking after Traore.
Yes, very well indeed. He's a good marker. He breaks into midfield occasionally. He's very strong. The amount of chances and half chances both sides have, one could be critical and say that they lack that finishing thrust, they lack a cutting edge. There's an example.
Absolutely.
Rather a wayward shot.
Very wayward indeed from Moussa Traore. It is a shame for Ivory Coast that Fofana's not fit to play in this match. He might just have made the difference.
Yes, he's a very aggressive dribbler. He can power his way through and take on 2 or 3 players at a time. I know that when Glenn Hoddle first went to Monaco, he was most impressed with this man's power and strength at dribbling opponents, and it wasn't just one person he took out the game. He could go past 2 or 3.
I saw another player at Monaco called George Weir, who's very impressive, David, as well, who plays for Liberia, I think it is. It's a shame they're not through to these finals. The audiences would have enjoyed seeing him play. Free kick given here. Charge on Mwitma.
Clumsy.
Almost went down like a rugby winger then, didn't he? And Zambia still trying to apply the pressure, but the shots have no meaning almost. They're not forcing the goalkeeper to make saves, and the substitute there is Mabasala. It is Gibi Mabasala and not Biggie Mabasala, as has been printed on a number of programmes. You were telling me that Gibi is really an Irish name.
I always believed it was, but hopefully he comes on and he can give us a goal.
Well, he created a goal, in a sense, for Kulusha the first match, didn't he?
That's right. Is it Chambeshi that's gone off, is it?
Yes. Mabasala is essentially a front player, so that shows a bit of imagination on the part of the coach, Zoom Endlov. Still going looking for a win. They've got to do, of course. Whoever wins this one goes through to play Cameroon in the semi-finals. Mwitma. That's gone out, I would have thought. Well, the longer it goes on, the more they'll be thinking a last-minute goal would do nicely again, as befitted yesterday's matches. Cameroon winning in the last minute. One hopes they don't quite do a penalty situation, however, like some accused Red Star Belgrade of doing in the European Cup final last year. Here is Mabasala for the first time. Obu has gone with him every yard of the way, and he wins the throw-in as well.
Tremendous pace there.
He's had a good second half, Obu, hasn't he?
Tremendous pace on the turn.
Not quite as many chances being created at the moment as were in the first half. Chomba keen enough to lay it back for Malou. Chomba being hustled out of it. So Zambia is strong again and get the foot in to feed Mabasala. Down this line. Oh, there's Mabasala as well inside the penalty area this time. The covering work done by Sekana, but it will be a corner, which Mabasala as well. He's the current footballer of the year in his country, so he comes with good pedigree. He looks very young to be a footballer of the year. Corner, Zambia, taken by Kulusha. Well dealt with. Acrobatically turned aside, but then Ben Salah goes on and is brought down. There's been more stoppages in the second half somehow.
Yes, certainly Ivory Coast haven't had the same rhythm that they had in the first half.
They haven't been able to create that space on the edge of the penalty area that they did when they were getting shots in. I remember two in particular from Kouadio. He's not been able to get forward into those positions.
No, the passing was more fluent, and because it was more fluent through the field, they were able to get bodies forward. This half, they're being outfought a little bit in the middle of the field and outstrengthed, and as a consequence, they're not able to get up the field in numbers through their passing.
And this might be a booking for Gadjicelli for his tackle on Makinka. It is. So the captain of Ivory Coast, Joseph Gadjicelli, earns a caution for that. A highly competitive game, as you would expect of any quarter-final match, but it really does need a goal at the moment. How many times have we said that?
Yes, the first half was bright and breezy and was making us sit on the edge of our chairs, and now we have a half where we're yearning for this first goal to make the game come alive, because the game has lost that rhythm and pace and bounce that it had in the first period. It was exciting and it was fast, and this half now has become more of a game where Zambia are dominating the midfield, and the Ivory Coast really are hanging on, but because the build-up is slow, they're unable to get into positions to create chances.
This might be a chance, unless no, the defender's done well there. Went with him every inch of the way. Never really looked like getting past him. And then the bowl out good, finding Ben Salah on that touchline, covered by Chomba. Can do no more than lay it back to Akar. I'd long to see them put something together. But again, Soko had come across from the right back position, read that well, intervened when necessary. Kalusha. What they'd pay for a goal from him now. Strong running again here, Whitmer I think it is, and the shot on target, and now they do get a shot in, but the goalkeeper, Wameni, is equal to it.
There's an outstanding save. Look at his positioning here as he turns on the edge of the box, perfectly positioned, right down his throat, on the edge of the 6-yard box. Well done.
Well done indeed. Here's Kalusha. Whitmer's gone down the left touchline. That's going to be too long. It's an aimless sort of a pass, that one. Very rare those find anyone. Ivory Coast 0, Zambia 0 in Dakar for the right to play Cameroon in the semi-final of the African Nations Cup. Confirmation of that scoreline midway through the second half. Still the preferred build-up is slow, and Soko now rolls it down the line. There's a good turn to try and get away from his man by Makinka. Just couldn't play it into the path of Mbasila though. And for the first change, Ivory Coast coach Yeo Martial has decided to bring on C. Donald, known as Sia, and take off Ben Salah. Olivier Sia.
Ben Salah's worked very hard, but he always seems to me to have been caught in possession in a challenge, and he's either fighting to gain free kicks or fighting to win free kicks. He's a player who, unlike my friend Mr. McGee on the right of midfield, doesn't play the ball off early enough, and he's often got caught in possession.
Now Ivory Coast trying to build through the middle with Kasikuadia. Did well to beat away the challenge. Then it comes down this right touchline to Aka. And again you saw the linesman's flag going up on that far side. This player who's come on, Sia, very interesting, another youngster. He's only 20 years of age, has come through the youth team, impressed at that level. And the coach has clearly decided now is the time to throw him in at this level. Chomba, when he strides forward he looks menacing. And here he is once more, Chomba. He's onside as well. Just delayed a fraction too long, otherwise he might have got the crossover.
Seem to have the power to forge on, something that
Ivory Coast haven't got at the moment, have they?
That's right, John. I'm just looking at the midfield combination there of Malenga when he forges forward. He's got real power there, and Makinka, they've just got a little bit more strength. Here we go again, a chance,
a very good chance. Mbasila, it's cut out by the right back again. Akar got in the way. It was Kalusha who had the effort. They're getting on top at the moment. Gibby almost trying to thread it through was David Makinka. They are definitely getting on top. Melu. This is a good phase for Zambia, but they've got to create an opening inside the penalty area. Here's Kalusha, turns his man. Good tackle. They had two of them there. He was trying to turn his man, but that was excellent defending.
There was a lovely ball played into the box. Hit me on the chest, he shouted, and there it came. And as he turned, he was tumbled to the ground. No penalty, of course, but good play, and the crowd appreciating that good play there. They were responding to that sequence of successive passes.
We were stressing what a good spell it is for Zambia, this, and if they can just get shots in at the moment, they will put Ivory Coast under a lot of pressure. It would be a terrific time to score a goal now. There isn't a bad time to score a goal.
No, there's never a bad time, but they're just now emphasising the fact that they are more powerful.
There's the board of directors. Certainly a number of coaches have become very rich men who are coaching football teams out in the Gulf and in Persia and places like that, and one or two English managers have gone, of course, particularly to Egypt to manage. You mentioned Richie Barker the other day, David. He was one. And of course the English are still seen as the founders of football, aren't they?
Yes.
The pioneers. This is good play from Zambia once more. They are definitely on top at the moment. They're winning many of these 50-50 challenges as they do now. Good chance here if he cuts it back. The tackling good, and the claim is it's going to be a goal kick.
It really was a stupendous tackle there on the byline. Really wonderful tackle. I think it was by Sam. No. He made the second challenge there, the first challenge there by Sekana. Splendid challenge. He's defended really well. That was a position that you dream of. They've got it twice in the last 5 minutes. They've hit the byline. And it's so difficult in modern football now, when you get the ball in a wide position, to either make a combination of passes or to dribble past a defender to get to that byline position. The cover forces you inside into the rock, where it's more difficult to get an effort at goal.
And there's a good ball laid forward, and he will keep going. Will Traore. Still Traore, trying to work an opening for himself or for somebody else coming up in support. This is Sia, and inside the penalty area he goes, and he just can't cut it back. Jabal have got his angle right as well. Well, the reasons for that, David, and if of course you'll excuse me for saying this, latter day fullbacks were perhaps not so quick as the fellas are nowadays. They recover so well, as we saw a few moments ago with Abu.
Yeah, that's right, John, but once again the coach will be writing on his pad, final ball.
Oh, what a chance this one is. Mbasala, he can win it here, and Mbasala lifts his shot over the top of the Ivory Coast crossbar, and that was a very good opening.
And he'll be ripping up his pad and writing again on his pad, final ball. They cannot just compose themselves when that final shot needs to be hit clinically. Here's a chance to go in even closer, to hit the ball across the face of the goalkeeper, low and hard, and someone else coming in the other side then has a chance. But that's wild. It's awesome, it's powerful, but it's wild.
And I always like to see a striker at least hitting the target from that sort of an angle. Okay, the keeper might parry it, but somebody else might follow in and score. You should hit the target.
Well, you've got to get your head down to hit the target. That's the first thing. And you've got to get right on top of the ball, and you've got to get your toe down, and you've got to have a short last stride. And at this moment in time, I would be fiercely critical of the finishing.
Yes, absolutely right. It's a chance for Ivory Coast to show us their prowess on finishing now, but that man Melu, he's a big strong individual, is this, and he's the one who gets back to deprive them. And starts things going again with Chomba. Yes, you'd have to be critical of all the nations that have competed here over the strength of their finishing. The quality has not been good in the opposition penalty area.
Yes, they like composure. I think, may I think of someone, a man like Clive Allen should go out there and give a 2-week clinic on how to place the ball into the net when given good opportunities. They go for power at all times, and there's a time to place the ball and there's a time to power the ball.
Well, they'll say about Gary Lineker, don't they? His goals all look the same almost. They're all generally delivered from 7 or 8 yards out, and just at one nudge.
That's right. Well, Gary has a gift, hasn't he? He can place it over the keeper. He can just hold himself that little bit longer before striking. He waits for the keeper to commit himself and then nudges it over the top of him. But of course, the Linekers and the Allens, many years, a long apprenticeship at a league club, then several clubs later, hundreds of games later, they are the finished product, because they have served their apprenticeship in the longest and in the fiercest and most difficult league in the world. And with respect to some of the players playing here, they're the best players in their country, but they haven't had the European experience. They haven't played around the world yet as much, and their club football week in, week out isn't at such a standard. So maybe some of the finishing is excusable, but it can be bettered.
Good comment. And Now Ivory Coast trying to open things up down the right. Nobody, of course, will ever forget that season Clive Allen had for you at Tottenham, David, when he scored, what was it, 49 goals? An amazing season. And he's still scoring his goals for Chelsea. So this is Ivory Coast and Zambia, and Mbasile, the young striker here who's just come on, running the ball out. The throw-in will go to the Ivory Coast. And again, we've got to reflect on the lack of Fofana in this match. It might just have made the difference to Ivory Coast. And that ricochet really favoured them. Kalusha, he's got a man coming up on his left-hand side. This is a very good chance. The chip just over the top, but they are creating the chances now, Zambia. They're not taking them for the moment, but it might only need one to go in.
Yes, I would imagine a shot count now would be fairly equal over the 90 minutes, and we normally say that if you get 14 attempts at goal, you know, you should be in for a couple of goals. The statistical minded would say you must have 7 attempts to get a goal. Well, I would suggest now that we're probably on something like 21 attempts between both sides in the game, and we haven't had our 3 goals.
We haven't, but we're still hoping and praying, and Zambia is still looking strong. Chomba too strong on this occasion. Just overdoes it. It's hard for a big man like him not to overdo it, I suspect. So there's going to be another substitution made. The Ivory Coast warming up. Another man. That's Gadjicelli, the captain. Suspended name, isn't it? San Jose Gadjicelli. Looks to be in trouble. Might be able to have a look at that in a moment. Here it is. He's wrestled him to the ground. He's landed awkwardly. Chomba almost trotted him on the way past as well. He screwed him into the turf. It is a very physically demanding game, is football these days, no question about that. Because they're such athletes, there's a great emphasis placed on that, but people forget that it's a very physical game as well, and these are big fellas.
They're very powerful players.
Gadjicelli, with assistance from 2 of the training staff, will leave the pitch for the moment.
That's a smart bucket, John.
It's a very smart bucket. You don't get many of those around. That's £4.50 in the supermarket in Dakar.
And no advertising on the bucket. That's nice to see. A pure white bucket.
Something you're going to introduce into British football, David, is it? Looked to me to be his wrist. They were holding his wrist, and it turned slightly awkward there. Well, that goalkeeper, Alain Ouameni, has been under a lot of pressure in this game, in the second half in particular. And yet most of the shots have gone wide in the game, haven't they? It's not as though the goalkeepers have had to make spectacular stops. There's been the odd one.
Yes, there was that fine shot in the first half, wasn't there? Cuadio, which Shabala tipped over but had covered. Both goalkeepers handled the shots very well. They positioned themselves well on the edge of the box. I feel they both look slightly suspect on the deep crosses, but generally speaking, they've shown good angles.
Can anybody win it? 0-0, Ivory Coast and Zambia. Good ball laid forward here into the Zambian penalty area. He's just overrun it. Sia, the substitute. They were treating his knee a moment ago. They looked as though they were treating his wrist as well. He fell on that.
That was good defending actually by Melu, who forced him away from the goal and caused him to overrun the ball. I see where he had a spell in Austria.
Yes,
he's quite an accomplished player at the back. He's got a lovely physique, and he's a very good defender. He's a very good close marker.
Yes, I was surprised he didn't play in the second match, having played in the first one, because he certainly didn't let himself down in that. Maybe he got a slight knock. Chomba. He's been a fixture in this side. He's played in all 3 games, taken down with difficulty, but very well by Obu. That wasn't an easy ball to control, but he controlled it well. That's not going to go out of play. There is Melu turning it inside for Mulenga. 0-0. Closing stages. Kalusha has suddenly shown a bit of neat footwork here. That's a good turn. Needs a good cross to go with it now as he gets to the byline and just can't pull it back. Overrun it. Kalusha's played 1 or 2 nice balls outside of him in the last few minutes.
Yes, he's tucked in one, hasn't he? And they've been attacking down from the left back side there. Chimbeshi's got forward.
There's a nice little touch from McGee. McGee rolls it wide. Didn't quite have the strength on the pass that he was looking for. His first touch was good, his second one not so good. We've said it before, but although there have been no goals in this match, it's been certainly one of the more entertaining games.
Well, the first half was really refreshing. The second half hasn't been quite as good technically.
Kalusha again gets it through Basila. There's a good ball in. Chow, and it's over the top again. They just can't round it off. That was Darby McKinker who got into the penalty area and hoisted the shot.
I've only seen you play once, John, but I think you could finish better.
You've seen me play, David. That's a miracle. Most folks said I'd never played.
He certainly pulled it down well. It was clever, really, to think of the lob, but he got it wrong and lifted it too high. On those little volleys, you have to wait to the lowest point of the ball. If you hit the ball just too high on the upswing, then it's going to drift over and loop too high. It was a great chance and it was good, incisive play. And whereas we felt in the first half the Ivory Coast was somewhat unfortunate to go through to half-time level, then I would say at this moment in time the reverse is true in this half.
Yes, I think if you're putting your money on anybody at the moment to win it, it would have to be Zambia. The yellow card here, I think it might be for time wasting. It looks as though it's been shown to Sekana. Mugabe Sekana.
It could be for dissent, actually, John. I noticed earlier on when they had a good bout of interpassing the Ivory Coast, he was really admonishing his colleagues fiercely. He looks a winner. He's a very strong player. He's an experienced player.
Yes, he is. Chikabala's gone off and Matete is on. Zambian change then. And an Ivory Coast attack down the left with Traore. And Soko easily putting that ball out of play. And we've certainly not seen as much of the Ivory Coast attack in the second half as we did in the first. He's had a good match, Soko. Got good stamina, these fellas. The throw-in for Ivory Coast is in a good position. McGee will take it. Anxious moments for Chibala on his line. There's McGee's throw. Chibala coming for it. Oh, and he doesn't get there, and he could have perished at that moment. Oh, and a stop on the line. It simply is not going to go in today. And a free kick given for Zambia, but the goalkeeper Chibala didn't get there and should have been punished.
He looked very nervous as the throw was taken. There was this lovely shot of him in the goal mouth. He looked as though he was worried about what's going on back home. He completely misjudged the ball. And here we have a chance. Look at that. My word, he can't wait to get onto it quick enough, but he sidesputs it straight onto the defender on the line. Dear, dear me.
What chances have been missed in this game. The next, whoops, this one goes wide. They're having a crack at both ends. I suppose when we do get a goal, it'll be either an absolutely astounding effort or a joke back heel or something like that.
Well, I think the one certainty is, John, that if it goes to penalties, they'll probably score 6 each out of 6.
Certainly nobody's looked like hitting the net in 90 minutes from that sense. Gagicelli will not return and Lignon takes his place. Lignon, number 12, so Gagicelli unable to continue. And the captain is off, and it is still 0-0. We're in the closing moments. looks like an extra time game, does this? And penalties. Who knows? Before 4 after extra time. Games do change, as you made the point earlier. Rarely are two halves the same, and that happens once you get into an extra time situation as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, at this moment, you can't really say that the goal efforts have come as a result of one team being caught up the field attacking. It's not as though one team's been caught on the counter.
Awful throw out, or at least it wasn't read by any of his own team, and that's given Kalusha the chance to lift another cross in. Well, they're defending rather tentatively at the moment, and we've gone into injury time at 0-0. Injury. This is just what you don't want as the match is at 0-0. When it's the cast iron certainty, you always feel it's going to go to extra time now. You lose the rhythm again. Here come the stretcher bearers. The first half was exceptional. There was a good rhythm about the whole flow of the match. It hasn't been quite the same flow in the second half. They're still singing and dancing. Long stoppage at this moment, but my money, David, would be on extra time, I think, now.
Yes, it certainly looks like it. Both sets of players will rue missed chances. They forced the issue. They've got into some good positions, and really there'll be a few wounds self-inflicted going into extra time. The game should not have gone into extra time.
No, it shouldn't, and for once the stretcher bearers were required when they got out there. So after all that, play restarts. They will think there'll be a final whistle any minute now. A long blast on it. Of course, the time has to be added on by the referee. But we've had 3.5 minutes of time added on already, and it's still 0-0. What if they were to score now? There would be some jubilation in the Ivory Coast and in the capital of Yamoussoukro. Coming up to 4 minutes of time added on. And it really would be cruel now if either side were to lose it. Because Ivory Coast were the better side in the first half. Zambia have undoubtedly been the stronger in the second half. Which is going to make it a fascinating extra 30 minutes, really, as to which one assumes the supremacy.
Yes, I think that the Ivory Coast, who played some delightful football, ran out of steam, certainly midway through the second half, and the Zambian power in midfield took over, and
that's it. We have another 30 minutes. It ends at 0-0 between Ivory Coast and Zambia.
We're about ready for extra time. Ivory Coast and Zambia for a place in the semi-finals. We're underway in the first period of extra time, and your match commentary continues with David Pleat and John Hill.
Thank you, Phil. I don't think many of us favoured extra time at half-time because there were so many chances being created. We'd have sworn that somebody would have scored a goal. But as David Pleat has commented on a number of occasions in this match, if there is a fault at all in African football, it is in finishing. The standard has been poor. Having said that, somebody's going to whack the ball into the net from 25 yards here.
Well, it will be the 31st effort on goal, John, and that's the statistic you're looking at. They've had 30 efforts so far, which has failed to produce a goal.
Kalusha is 11. He hits the shot over the top, and we've seen it so many times. That's disappointing, not to hit the target. And there was no variety on that one. Melu was there as well. Could have run over the ball, which we see so often, but he simply stepped up and walloped it over the top.
Yes, I have to say that it's I mean, if you look at coaching principles there, you don't lean back, you get your head over the ball, you get your knee over the ball, and you go for laces, and if you get a nice clean strike, you keep the ball down. Your last stride's a short stride, not a long stride. If it's a short stride, you can't get the leverage to get the ball high.
It's something we were always taught at school, David. You pointed the toe down at the ball as well. They don't seem to do that, do they? That's just the new boots they wear nowadays.
I think they go for glory, and they go to try and hit so much power into the ball. They try and knock the case off the ball, and we all know that the greatest shooters, the power shooters, the Bobby Charltons, the Arthur Rowleys, the ones that went for real power, they hit it cleanly, sweetly.
Cross. Oh, there might be a chance. No, it was a miss kick, a bad miss kick, and well, that would have been extraordinary. If they'd have scored from that, that would have summed it all up.
Do we count that 32 goal attempts, John, or are we going to say that that was fortuitous effort?
I think it was a cannon. It was more like a snooker shot, wasn't it, really? It was an effort, but as you say, fortuitous is the word. Zambia again showing their strength. This is a better build-up, and appeal for handball and given as well against Melu. There's been much involved in this match. There have been certain individuals who we've kept seeing, they've kept bobbing up in the play, haven't they? Makinka has made some good breaks through the middle. Melu has been strong. Soccer on one side has been good at right back. There's going to be no trouble here for Chabala. Hobu's impressed me at left back as well for Ivory Coast. That's Kouadio's ball. Will be picked up edge of the area, or should have been by Traore. And by the time he does, I think he's gone down. And it will be a free kick. And this is a good position now then. Have they been doing anything in training? He mustn't curl it too close to the goalkeeper. A reminder, of course, if the scores are still 0-0 after extra time, we will go into a penalty shootout. They're trying to make sure it doesn't go that far now as the shot is teed up. It's there, it's in at long last. It took the deflection, but the celebrations are led by Traore. And Abdoulaye Traore will claim, I'm sure, his second goal of this African Nations Cup. It took a wicked deflection. Chabala could do nothing at all about it, and the Ivory Coast are celebrating at last.
From a free kick by McGee, the ball not cleared, and when this comes, there's a nice clean strike, took a deflection, and isn't that ironic, or isn't that almost not surprising, that the first goal should come from a deflection after all the scruffy shooting? There it is.
It was Sia Donald actually. Traore never got a touch at all. Here we see it from the back. Saori's shot, the Sia's shot, and although it was Traore who led the celebrations, I'm going to say that that was Sia's shot, and it went in off a Zambian player. So it's 1-0 Ivory Coast lead in extra time here in Dakar.
You're bound to say that, John. I know that you got his number in the raffle.
How did you know that? Can they get an equaliser now? It happens very often. Sides do tend to lose concentration just after they've scored a goal.
I think we'll see an excellent last period now. I really do believe now that that won't be the only goal. There'll be more goals now, because defences will have to leave their positions. They'll have to get forward. In doing so, they're going to leave space, and we could well see something exciting here.
I hope those are prophetic words from David Pleat. It's 1-0, Ivory Coast in the lead, looking for a place in the semi-finals against Cameroon. Zambia coming back, and they lack nothing in strength, that's for sure. Have they got the mental strength now? Soko. Remember, they go out today if they lose, and it's the Ivory Coast fans who are celebrating at the moment. It's their fourth goal of these championships, having beaten Algeria by 3-0 and drawn with the Congo 0-0. Chibala. So yet again we have an Ivory Coast player on the ground. I don't think Zambia will put the ball out of play while he's down there. Lobbed into space. Taken down by Mbasila. Now it's Melu. The build up neat down the right. Soko's ball in. And put out of play. And he's prevented it going for a corner as well. There's the substitute for the Ivory Coast, Lignon.
And that is good refereeing, John. You know, he hasn't stopped the game. He's made the game keep flowing. And the Ivory Coast defender that went down injured eventually realised he wasn't going to go and blow, and he staggered to his feet, and he's now back in the action, and the spectators haven't lost a minute at a time.
I think he's done well, this referee. He's done very well. He's booked a couple of players, but generally he's had good control over the match. And to be fair, the players have helped him as well. Ivory Coast will be happy enough to slow things down at the moment. The pressure is on Zambia. The onus on them to get a goal. Offside given. How often do we see a goal that separates sides that comes like that? A strike which might not have even been going in. We don't know, but it certainly clipped a heel, didn't it? And that completely fooled Chibala.
The old story, John, isn't it? If you don't buy tickets, you can't win a raffle. If you don't have a shot, you won't score a goal. But today, they've had plenty of shots and haven't scored a goal, and eventually they have got one.
It's true, but in this lottery, it's 1-0 at the moment to Ivory Coast. Zambia with chances here inside the area. It didn't fall kindly for Kalusha, and is cleared out of play. We do apologise to those viewers who were looking forward to the NHL action, but for the moment obviously we have to stay with this quarter-final of the African Nations Cup between Ivory Coast and Zambia, which has got into extra time and which now Ivory Coast lead by 1-0. That NH action will be brought to you at a later date. The crowd has been lifted as well. You can sense there's a stronger rhythm to the music now, all led by the Ivory Coast supporters. Now Makinka. Oh, that's a good ball through as well, and there are chances here as they build down the right with Mbasila. Can he get past the marker? Well, he's got the corner, Mbasila. Won it off defender Dominique Sam. A lithe sort of runner on Mbasila, doesn't he? He's got to get in there now to try and get on the end of Kalusha's corner kick. They need a goal to Zambia to get back into this match now. Soko delivers the ball in. They must be offside. The ball hit the side net anyway.
They cleared their blocks very well there, did the defenders. There you see them just holding the line, moving out, no question about it. Two Zambian forwards caught offside.
Absolutely, and a reminder that Ivory Coast lead by 1-0, scored by Sia in the opening minutes of this extra time. Strong header out of defence, and what again has happened now that Ivory Coast, who were perhaps fading a little bit in the second half, have been lifted by that goal. They'll chase everything now. Trying to protect this lead. Melu is on the ball for Zambia. They're not panicking, Zambia. They're still having a deliberate build-up, finding their men with the passes. They're only 1 goal in arrears, and anything can happen in this match yet. He was body checked there. Kalusha as he tried to find a way through the middle. KK11 are a goal down to the Elephants. And taking it down, the substitute who lays not a bad ball in either, but it's shepherded back to Gumani. Nicely laid in by Mateti. Put out of play by Sekana. One of of those who has been booked in this match. Socko also got a yellow card. Zambia a goal down, coming forward down the left touchline. Fully powered in to meet that one. Doesn't get the touch on because Socko is there again. Basila surrounded by orange jerseys, and he's gone into an offside position.
Desperately wanted the early ball there played to him. The ball was delayed, and by the time the ball got played through, he was in the offside position. But I see the pattern developing again now. I think we can foresee plenty of Zambian pressure and some last-ditch Ivory Coast defending.
The classic pattern of extra time play. We keep reflecting and wondering what might have happened if Ivory Coast had scored in the first minute of the match, as they so nearly did when they struck an upright. It seems a long time ago, that. long time ago. No doubt our researcher Peter Law would tell us just how long. The ball taken down by Chomba. Keep it in play, and he might be ill-advised to do that. He could lose out to Chomba here.
You're absolutely right, John.
Bobu had no need, he might as well have just put that ball out.
That's not clever. When you're almost in the semi-finals and you're in extra time, you don't have to be clever, just be effective.
Prizes for that. Melu lobs the ball forward, trying to get it over the top of the back line, which has held good. Makinka. And it's cut out. And Ivory Coast are coming towards the half-time period of extra time, a goal in the lead. Well, he's happy enough.
Well, I tend to think that's more the Zambian side of the fence.
Perhaps he knows something we don't know. Perhaps he knows that they're going to get an equaliser. Melu. He is strong and he powers forward to win a corner kick. Corner kick for Zambia. They're a goal down though, and that is Sam Endlove. Still concerned obviously about his side trailing here to that strike by Sia. Headed away well. They've got the bodies in there. The Whitmer can get no more than a throw in this time. It's the team in orange who are in the lead. Ivory Coast 1, Zambia 0. There's the throw-in, which I thought I heard a whistle there, but it wasn't from the referee. Plenty of whistles in the crowd, that's for sure. Socko has switched wings for the moment, so it's hit forward by Melu this time. That looks like it might be a good ball, and it's been put behind. It was dropping handily towards Matete, and the second corner conceded by Ivory Coast, so the build-up of pressure continues.
They're looking for these diagonal balls now.
Goalkeeper Guamani looks extremely calm, and well he might. He plucks the ball out of the air, and the whistle had gone. Still not getting the shots in that they would be wanting.
No, they've found it difficult to engineer efforts at the moment. They're getting the ball into the box, but they're not getting clear opportunities. But there's another 15 minutes or so to go, and I certainly wouldn't rule out Zambia at this stage. I think they can definitely get an equaliser.
We shall see. Basila on the ball and using it well. Now gets it through as far as Makinka. Matete is onside as he gives chase. It's good covering work by the substitute Lino. Run out of play. And we're staying with this match right through to the end now, no matter what happens.
The Because I've always had a belief, John, that in these type of games where they go to extra time, I would like to see the first goal win it.
Really?
Yes, I feel that they've worked hard to get in front the first goal after 90 minutes where two sides are equal. I would like to see sudden death when we come into extra time. I'd rather have sudden death that way than let it go on and someone get an equaliser and then have the horrible feeling of penalty shootout.
Here we see again that free kick in. The ball had been headed out, and here comes Sayat with his left foot shot, and there was the flick it took. Well, he won't claim goal, that's for sure.
Yeah, strangely enough, one of the few occasions where the Zambian defenders haven't really pushed and squeezed very quickly to the edge of the box. Had they done that there, they may have got the block on quicker, and certainly there'd have been a couple of forwards left in offside positions. But they were slow to push out after the initial block.
15 minutes to go in Dakar. Ivory Coast 1, Zambia 0 for the right to play Cameroon in the semi-final of the African Nations Cup. And at the moment that right will be taken by Ivory Coast. They go forward themselves with Sekana. Out on the touchline is Traore. He tried to kid everybody he'd scored the goal. Matter as long as somebody in the side had. That somebody was Sia. They're controlling the game nicely at the moment. They're keeping possession well, and Traore lofting the ball in field. Might be a chance of a second one here. Traore's on the ball again. Makes the run forward as well, perhaps trying to get on the end of a return ball from Sekana. He's still there, going round in circles with it. Well, it was a magic roundabout from Sekana. Oh, magical play from Sekana as well. And when he goes down, I think the ball went off him and behind for a dead ball. Sekana showing him nice skills to get into that position. The NHL action, which was scheduled to be shown now, will be shown at a later date. Apologies to those fans of NHL action. Well, I'm sure you appreciate we could hardly leave Ivory Coast and Zambia as they went into extra time. And now the deadlock has been broken by Ivory Coast. They are the side looking to go through to a semi-final date against Cameroon.
Matete is a really big forward. He's got awesome power. I'm not sure. See him in the picture in a little minute.
That was him nodding the ball down, I think. You're not sure, David?
If he knows how to use it well. I'm looking at him running, and he seems to make his runs too late. He doesn't seem to be aware of where the ball's going to be delivered.
There's another powerful man, a good headed forward, and he just couldn't get onto it in the Whitmer. One of the Catway Warriors side in this team. From the left boot of the goalkeeper who plays his football in Casablanca. Ball played all the way back to Chibala. Melu. Zambia seeking this equaliser. With only about 10 minutes left in which to gain it. Good ball, turned out wide. Still the patient build-up from Zambia. 1-0 down to a deflected goal credited to Sia. Well read. Well cut out indeed by the defender, Lignon, substitute. It's his stretch as well, which doesn't quite win it back. Zambia come again, an awkward bouncing ball there, but McGee just managed to get a knock on it. That was Matete. Makinka plays it wide, a lovely ball as well, taken on the chest, and the whistle sounds and the free kick will be for Ivory Coast.
Ball just wanted a little bit more of a delicate turn on it. He could have taken it into his stride. He's just a little bit behind him and forced that handling, which is a shame because there was a promising move there.
He timed the run very well. the Zambian coach has brought on both Matete and Basila, two strikers really, so he's made his intentions clear. Here's Makinka, who plays for the Profant Warriors. There's a good ball in, now there might be a chance, and Basila taking it on the back post, trying to get on the outside, and really that's not what was required, although he's got the corner off Obu. He might have done better trying to dart inside and get a shot in on goal.
Obu read his intentions very quickly there and was very quick on his feet, quick on the turn.
Kalusha will take a corner. What a final few minutes we would have if Zambia could get an equaliser. Kalusha the corner, not good enough. No real penetration from that.
Kalusha's been a little bit disappointing.
Yes, he has. One of the foreign-based players of the PSV, Soko. He's making his in there, a good shot. He almost came back and sat on our cameraman. And then when the throw-in was taken, it wasn't to the liking of the referee.
Or the cameraman.
Or the cameraman, no. That is the ball that is being used. Could hardly have a closer up shot than that either. Obu's throw. They're riding it well.
Yes, they're holding on. They're holding on and they're not being threatened as much as I assume they might be.
They're not flustered, and here's a chance, and this could seal it. The goalkeeper coming from his line, he put a hand out, and Chibala indicating there, he knew he put his hand out, but he picked up the ball right on the edge of the area. 6 minutes gone in injury time, and a free kick has been given. Well, Chibala right on the edge of his area there, just put his hand down, didn't he, as he picked up the ball, and the referee is going to have words with the linesman over here. It was a piercing ball in, and it could have produced a second goal for Ivory Coast.
Yes, it reminded me of that classic World Cup move when Roger Miller went through, and Higuita, I think it was, came storming out, but rather more eccentrically than that.
He took the fly kick, didn't he? There it is, there goes his hand down. They were trying to play Traore in.
Well, he's given the free kick, and I have to say I think Zambia are a little bit unfortunate to concede that.
Yes, I think so too.
Avaricious linesmen, John, they get worse.
Want to make their impact. Well, he was
no problem
inside the area, wasn't he?
No problem at all. Player appeals. Linesman gets a little bit of flack by a few people standing behind him in the crowd. Panics.
And what if Ivory Coast score a second goal? That certainly would be cruel to Zambia, because they've carried the fight to Ivory Coast for much of the second half and part of this extra time as well. But they face a free kick now, which is critical to the final outcome of the game. There you see it, a perfect shot of just what is on.
And I fancy McGee.
It wasn't him in the end, but it's still not gone in. There were a few arms raised aloft there. It didn't find a way through that forest of legs.
Which only proves, John, had McGee taken the kick, it probably would have gone in.
Yes, he'd have been the man. I can't understand them, David. They would definitely have scored, wouldn't they? He was there all right. He was lined up ready to take it. You fancied him to bend it a little.
I thought he has enough technical ability to keep a ball down.
8 minutes gone, 7 to go. They're smiling on the Ivory Coast bench at the moment.
And praying.
And praying and laughing and everything, yeah. They're going to have quite a night if they win. Now it's this linesman who's getting involved. You see, he didn't want his thunder stolen by the other fella on the other side. And of course, Zambia are anxious to get on with it. They know there are only 7 minutes to go. They want to get on with the match. Ball laid forward and over the top of the defender, and a free kick awarded for Zambia now. So this is their opportunity. It's a good 35 yards out. It's not in a goal-scoring situation. I wouldn't have said not a goal-scoring position directly. Well, they ought to send up the big fellas. Chomba should be in there. Melu should be in there. Soko should be in there, I would have said. But they don't seem to be doing that. instead it's turned aside, and that's not going to count either. And that didn't show as much imagination as I would have liked to have seen. Melu again not able to keep the ball down, and the coach looks rather disconsolate now. He's reading his notes.
Might be a letter from his wife. You're in trouble when you get back.
Or the chairman of the board. They've got to keep plugging away, Zambia, and hope, because obviously it would be the Ivory Coast heads that would go down if Zambia could get an equaliser now with 5 minutes of extra time left. It's been a good contest. An awkward bounce there, got the defender Malenga into trouble, and here they come again. He's got to turn it, and it's whipped across there, but it's going to be, well, he's just managed to keep it in play as Traore. And he's quite happy to waste up a few seconds. Chavala can't have that luxury. Long, and here's your friend Matete, rather big and clumsy, but unable to do anything about it. The ball brought away for Ivory Coast again. As the minutes tick by, it looks as though Ivory Coast are going to be the ones to go ahead to face Cameroon. And remember, Ivory Coast have not only never won the African Nations Cup, they've only ever finished third on 3 occasions. So they have a very good chance of repeating that feat. 4 minutes to go. The goal by Sia for Ivory Coast separates these teams. Well, they sense one of the greatest days in their country's history. Forward it goes, as it's got to do. Matete on the end of it, but straight through to goalkeeper Gourmeni. And for Ivory Coast now, they're less than 200 seconds away from a place in the semi-finals. And that doesn't sound much when you say it that way. So long as they keep their composure, do nothing silly, they should win the match. But Melu goes forward. Now it's Kalusha. They need a blinding bit of inspiration from him, and Kalusha might just provide it. The header out is good by Hobu, who's met everything this afternoon. He's done his side proud. Ivory Coast break once more. They just need to keep possession. Good decoy run, made up the right-hand touchline, and eventually he's going to receive the ball as well. So that was sensible play. Again, they just happy to roll the passes around, keep possession of the football. Doesn't matter if it goes all the way back to the goalkeeper. Some rather tired-looking Zambian players now, as though they've accepted it that it's not going to be their year, and they'll have to try again in 2 years' time. They're good at keeping possession, and they strung together probably 15 or 20 passes then before the ball was laid forward. And Yeo Martial looks as though he's on his way to a victory as the Ivory Coast coach over Zambia and a place in the last 4. 1-0, there is the scoreline. Exactly 2 minutes left in this match, and Basila, the ball has gone out of play. I think he knew it really. Well, that ball didn't go out. The linesman there incurred the wrath of Basila. Those are the sort of frustrating decisions that go against you when you're a goal down. You don't mind so much if you're a goal up, but when you're a goal down, and another will be given. Ivory Coast 60 seconds away from a meeting with Cameroon.
Well, it's a game that hasn't turned out the way that we felt in the first 20 minutes. For all the neat, tidy dribbling talent of the Ivory Coast, they shot like nervous kittens, and when the power of Zambia took over in the second period, it appeared that they would be able to force a winning position. But their shooting, similarly to the Ivory Coast, was more than anemic. And strange, wasn't it, that fortune should smile on the Ivory Coast in ironic fashion. An own goal, a goal which looks now like taking them into a semi-final situation with the Cameroons. They've worked hard, both teams have worked hard. Sadness for Love there. He isn't going to do it. It looks as though it's the Ivory Coast's day. Good luck to them.
Good luck to them indeed, with 12 seconds to go. I can't imagine there's much time to be added on from this period of extra time. One last thrust maybe from Zambia. But we're coming up to the 15 minutes now. And certainly in Yamoussoukro, this will be seen as one of the great days for the Ivory Coast. The 10th time they've appeared in the African Nations Cup finals. They've never gone better than third, but they've got the chance here to go through to this semi-final meeting with Cameroon. And will they be leaping around the stage in a moment or two when the final whistle goes? They can't wait for that whistle. Blow the whistle, they're shouting to the referee. They're imploring him to do that. Zambia want one last go maybe, but that is it. The arms of the Ivory Coast are raised aloft, and they have knocked out Zambia and go through to the semi-finals and a meeting with Cameroon.